Everyone watching Matt's off-road recovery thinks they know the story. A big bearded tow truck driver from Hurricane, Utah, starts filming his recoveries on an iPhone and somehow turns it into a multi-million-dollar brand with over 2 million fans across platforms. It sounds simple. It sounds like a one-man show. But here's what the camera almost never shows you: the person who keeps the whole thing from falling apart. Matt Wetzel is the face. He's the one in the Jeep, knee-deep in mud, cracking jokes while he pulls rental cars out of places they were never meant to go. He gets the subscribers, he gets the spotlight, and he deserves it. The man built something genuinely remarkable. But behind every recovery you've ever watched, behind every invoice, every billing dispute, every late-night crisis call, and every business decision that doesn't make it onto film, there's Jaymie. She runs the financial side of not one, but 2 separate businesses. She manages a household with 4 boys. She drives out in the dark when Matt forgets keys or runs out of gas in the middle of nowhere. And when the legal system came knocking, not once, but twice, her name was right there in the documents alongside his. Jaymie Wetzel isn't a supporting character in this story. She's a co-founder who built an empire from the back office while everyone else was watching the Jeep. And it's about time someone told her side of it. Most love stories start somewhere memorable: a party, a mutual friend, a chance encounter. Matt and Jaymie Wetzel's story started across a bank counter in Hurricane, Utah. She was a teller. He was a customer with accounts to manage. That's it. No dramatic setup, no Hollywood moment. Just a man walking in to handle his finances and walking out, eventually, with the woman who would become the backbone of everything he'd go on to build. At the time, Matt was still deep in the roofing industry, 10 years working for someone else before co-founding his own company, Skyline Roofing, alongside a partner named Adam Stout. He sold his stake in that business and pivoted hard into towing, launching Red Ryder Towing in 2009 and then purchasing the established Winder Towing in 2013. Winder had been a fixture in Hurricane since 1981, a company with a long reputation for reliability and one that came with something rare in the towing world: credibility built over decades. Matt didn't build that from scratch. He bought it, bet on it, and set about expanding it into something much bigger. What most people watching his YouTube channel don't realize is that through every single one of those transitions, from roofing to Red Ryder to Winder to the launch of Matt's off-road recovery in 2019, Jaymie was right there. Not on the sidelines, not simply at home managing the kids. She was listed as an agent and director of not one, but 2 of the family's companies, with public business records confirming her registered role. Matt's own crew spotlight, posted to the channel's official Facebook page, put it plainly. Jaymie isn't really an employee as much as she is an owner. That distinction matters more than people give it credit for. Employees show up, do their job, and clock out. Owners carry the weight of the whole thing home with them every night. They're the ones thinking about payroll, about billing disputes, about what happens when a contract goes sideways. Jaymie has always been on the owner's side of that equation. She handles the billing for both Matt's off-road recovery and Winder Towing, 2 separate operations with different client bases, different insurance relationships, and very different logistical demands. That's not a small job. Winder runs a fleet of trucks handling conventional roadside and highway towing on top of the off-road recovery work the channel is famous for. Someone has to make sure the invoices go out, the payments come in, and the numbers actually make sense. That someone has consistently been Jaymie. She went from counting other people's money at a bank window to co-managing a multi-business towing empire, and she did it quietly while almost nobody was watching. But that was only the beginning of what she'd have to carry. There's a version of this story that sounds almost funny until you think about how often it actually happens. Matt Wetzel, the man who has built a brand around rescuing strangers from impossible situations in the middle of the Utah desert, regularly needs rescuing himself, not from a muddy ravine, from his own forgetfulness. And the person who shows up every single time is Jaymie. According to Wikitubia, the most comprehensive public record of the channel's inner workings, Jaymie is specifically described as the person who most often saves Matt's bacon when he runs out of gas late at night, forgets customer car keys, or needs extra assistance from someone on the other end of a phone call. Read that again. The man who professionally rescues people from the consequences of being underprepared in remote terrain, that same man runs out of gas, and forgets keys on the job regularly, and his wife drives out to fix it. That detail tells you something important about how this operation actually functions in real life versus how it looks on camera. The channel presents Matt as the capable, unflappable problem solver at the center of every recovery. And to be fair, in the Jeep with a kinetic rope and a stuck rental car, he absolutely is. But off camera, the logistics of keeping a working tow operation running day to day rely just as heavily on Jaymie picking up the slack, sometimes literally driving out into the dark to deliver what the crew forgot. And it doesn't stop there. When the operation needs an extra set of hands on site, Jaymie steps in. She's confirmed to have taken on camera duty when the regular crew is short, assisted directly on recoveries, and driven the recovery vehicles themselves. She owns 2 of them, her white Ford Super Duty, nicknamed White Lightning by the crew, and a white Wrangler Rubicon 392 the team refers to as the rental Jeep. These aren't vehicles she drives to drop kids off at school. They're working rigs used in an active recovery operation. The fact that she has them and knows how to use them says everything about how embedded she actually is in the field side of the business, not just the office side. Most people watching the channel see Jaymie as a warm, occasional presence who appears in videos now and then and keeps things grounded. What they're not seeing is the full picture, the calls, the late nights, the moments where someone has to be the reliable one. That's her. And when things got much more complicated, publicly and legally, that reliability would be tested in ways nobody expected. Here's something the camera almost never captures. Every recovery you've ever watched on Matt's off-road recovery, every mud-caked Jeep, every rental car dragged off a sandbar near Zion, every impossible extraction that somehow works out has paperwork attached to it. Someone has to invoice the customer, reconcile the claim, track the payment, and make sure the books for 2 separate businesses actually balance at the end of the month. That someone is Jaymie. Her official role, confirmed through Wikitubia and the channel's own crew spotlights, covers the complete billing operation for both Matt's off-road recovery and Winder Towing. These aren't small, simple ledgers. Winder Towing operates a full fleet of conventional tow trucks working highway and roadside contracts across southern Utah, a side of the business most subscribers have never even seen. Add the off-road recovery operation on top of that, factor in AAA affiliation, sponsorship arrangements, and a merchandise line, and what you're looking at is a genuinely complex financial picture. Jaymie manages the back end of all of it. Matt has never hidden how essential she is. He's described her publicly as a fantastic, can-do business partner who never takes business issues personally, and then added something that most people in business relationships struggle to actually deliver on. She is the glue that holds everything together. That's not a throwaway compliment. That's an admission from the man whose name is on the channel that without her steadying presence behind the scenes, the whole structure becomes a lot more fragile. What makes that even more remarkable is the environment she's operating in. Off-road recovery isn't a 9-to-5 business. There's no predictable schedule, no standard work week, and no such thing as a quiet Tuesday when you're running tow trucks across some of the most remote terrain in Utah. Jobs come in at midnight. Emergencies don't wait for business hours. And through all of it, the billing has to stay clean, the invoices have to go out on time, and the financial side of the operation can't afford to slip just because the recovery side is chaos. Matt admitted it himself in a profile interview. The biggest frustration Jaymie has with him is that he'd rather do jobs for free than collect payment. His words were that she'd ask him after every job, "Did you collect on that?" And sometimes the answer was a mumbled no. Without someone holding the financial line, that generosity becomes a liability. Jaymie holds that line. The channel doesn't run without her. It just looks like it does. People who watch Matt's off-road recovery regularly will notice something. The kids pop up here and there. Matt mentions his family in passing. The channel has always leaned into its wholesome, family-friendly identity, and that identity is real. But what the camera doesn't linger on is the full weight of what it actually takes to hold a family together when the business running underneath your household operates around the clock. Jaymie is the mother of 3 sons, Colin, Rhett, and Carter. Matt also has a son named Rudy from a previous marriage, making 4 boys total across the family. Rudy appeared on the channel for years, working recoveries and fabricating vehicles alongside his dad, before stepping away in April 2022 to launch his own YouTube channel and pursue his own path. Matt fully supported the decision, and the two remain on good terms. But the point is that for years, Jaymie wasn't just managing a household with young kids, she was doing it inside a blended family, with a son-in-law dynamic playing out publicly on a YouTube channel with over 1 million subscribers watching. That context matters. Blended families require a particular kind of patience and steadiness from everyone involved, and doing that while also co-running 2 businesses and appearing occasionally on camera is a balance most people would find overwhelming. Jaymie has handled it without fanfare and without making it a storyline. And the household itself isn't exactly low maintenance. Matt built this operation into a 24-hour towing company. His own words from a profile interview: recovery calls don't respect school pickup times or dinner schedules. During the early years especially, Matt described running a round-the-clock operation that dominated most of his time. In those early videos, when there was no dedicated camera crew yet, he would hand the phone to Ed, one of his kids, or Jaymie, to film whatever was happening. She was already part of the production before there was ever a production budget. The crew's Spotlight the Channel posted about Jaymie said it simply: she is the best mom, wife, and business partner. That phrasing, mom, wife, and business partner, listed as one continuous role, captures something true about what her day actually looks like. Those aren't 3 separate jobs she switches between. They overlap constantly, and the boundaries between them blur in ways that never fully appear on screen. She runs the home while the business runs wild, and she does both at the same time every single day without a spotlight anywhere near her. But that invisibility was about to change. There's a telling line buried inside the crew spotlight the channel posted about Jaymie on their official Facebook page. It described her as a general, all-around, get-it-done gal, and then added something that most people scrolled right past. You might have to look close to see her moving the company forward. That sentence wasn't an accident. It's an accurate description of exactly how she operates, and it's been that way since the very beginning. Jaymie is not a camera-shy person who stumbled into the background by accident. She's someone who has consistently chosen to keep her focus on the work rather than the visibility. While other crew members became recognizable faces, Rudy, Lizzie, Tucker, Skeeter, Ed, people with dedicated fan followings, Reddit threads debating their departures, and viewers tracking their every move. Jaymie stayed in the office, not because she wasn't capable of being on camera. She's appeared in videos, participated in live sessions with Matt, and shown up on site when needed. But her default position has always been operational, not performative. That choice comes with a cost that most people don't consider. In the YouTube world, visibility equals credit. The people who appear on screen are the ones audiences feel connected to, talk about, and recognize. The people running things behind the scenes, managing the billing, handling the disputes, keeping 2 business operations financially viable, are essentially invisible to the audience, no matter how essential they actually are. Jaymie has been building this brand from inside that invisibility for years. What makes it even more striking is how the channel itself has grown around her. Matt's Off-Road Recovery now operates with cameramen, dedicated video editors, a marketing arm, a merchandise storefront, and a crew of roughly 25 people working full-time, part-time, or as contractors. Matt's own description. That's a real organization. And somewhere underneath all of it, handling the financial infrastructure that makes payroll and operations possible, is the same woman who started by managing a small towing company's books while raising kids and fielding late-night emergency calls. The crew Spotlight the Channel posted said it plainly. Jaymie isn't really an employee as much as she is an owner. That line came from the channel's own official page. Matt's team said it themselves. But ownership without visibility is a strange thing. You carry the weight without the recognition, and the audience builds its understanding of the brand entirely around the person holding the Jeep rather than the person holding everything else together. She's been holding it together from the start. That part just never made the thumbnail. In late October 2021, the story that had been quietly building inside a Utah courtroom became very public, very fast. Matt Wetzel, the man whose entire brand rested on being the trustworthy, community-first recovery guy from Hurricane, was charged with one count of filing a false or fraudulent insurance claim. The charge was a second-degree felony, and the business at the center of it was Winder Towing, the same operation Jaymie had been managing the billing for since the beginning. The details, laid out in charging documents filed by the Utah Insurance Fraud Division, covered a 19-month window between January 2019 and August 2020. During that period, investigators found that AAA had paid Winder Towing over $15,000 for claims that contained what they called known material misrepresentations. In plain terms, the claims didn't accurately reflect the services provided, the vehicles involved, or where the tows actually took place. 3 separate incidents were cited in the ICE complaint. One involved construction material deliveries being billed as vehicle tows. Another involved a customer with no AAA membership being told to sign up and then file a claim days later. The third, perhaps the most damaging, was an off-road Polaris RZR recovery that had been filmed and posted directly to the YouTube channel. AAA doesn't cover off-road vehicles. The footage made it nearly impossible to dispute what had actually happened. When investigators contacted Matt by phone in December 2020, he took responsibility. His explanation was that the claims were, in his words, wrong on the front end, but fair on the back, meaning real services had been performed, even if the paperwork didn't reflect them accurately. He described similar arrangements with other customers where he'd perform work and ask them to submit AAA claims afterward rather than billing them directly at the time of service. The case dragged into 2022. In February of that year, Matt pleaded no contest, reducing the charge from a second-degree felony down to a Class A misdemeanor. Judge Jeffrey Wilcox ordered 18 months of probation, $15,328 repaid to AAA, and a $1,745 fine to Utah's Insurance Fraud Division. The channel kept posting throughout the entire ordeal, never missing a beat publicly. But here's what most viewers never noticed. When a separate civil lawsuit was filed in 2025, Acuity Insurance versus the Wetzels, both Matthew and Jaymie Wetzel were named as defendants, alongside Winder Towing and Matt's off-road recovery. A default judgment was entered in August 2025. For the first time, Jaymie's name wasn't just in the background, it was in the court documents, and that changes the story considerably. Jaymie Wetzel didn't choose the spotlight. She chose the work, and for years, that choice kept her name out of thumbnails, out of comment sections, and out of the conversations fans were having about who actually makes Matt's off-road recovery what it is. But the full picture tells a different story. She co-owns the businesses. She manages the billing. She drives out in the dark when things go wrong. She raises the family. She's been named in court documents. And she has been quietly registered as a director of the companies she helps run since before anyone outside of Hurricane, Utah, had ever heard of a yellow Jeep named the Banana. Matt pulls vehicles out of impossible situations for a living. But the operation that makes that possible, the financial backbone, the administrative foundation, the steady hand behind all of it, has always had her name on it. It just took a closer look to see it.